Well, good morning, Rebel family. How you guys doing? 12 of you are doing good. The rest of you, by the end of this, it's going to be a good day. You're going to have a good time at church this morning. Well, my name is Pastor Brandon. My wife, Lauren, and I have the distinct privilege of leading out this amazing family. And I say family because we're not just a church. We are a family, and we are glad that you are here this morning. If you're visiting with us for the first time, man, we thank you for taking up the invite, for checking us out, for showing up. Maybe it's the first time in a long time. Welcome back. We know that God has something in store for you this morning. We didn't come here to be entertained. We came here to encounter Jesus. That's what every Sunday is about. And this morning, we are smack dab in our fall season. And I would just encourage you to lean into everything that God is doing through this church family. Lean in. Rebel Socials, lean in. I don't have the time. No, you got the time. You got the time. You got plenty of time. You got time to watch Cowboys this afternoon. You got time to get in a social group. We don't get in social groups just to be social. We get in social groups to create relationship with people of like mind and like spirit so that we can walk this walk together. So that we can do life together, so we can lift each other up, so that we can call each other out when we ain't under the covering, when we step outside the covering. We can do life together. So I would encourage you, if you're not in a social group, you are doing life wrong. Second thing is, if you are a lady in the house, pull out your phone right now. All the ladies, pull out your phone. I know you already got them out. I know you got them hidden somewhere. Pull out your phone, pull out your text messaging. Just go to your text messaging right now. Up in the top right corner, hit the new message. Type in the number 210-908-5715. 210-908-5715. In the message, type "she is," all one word, SHEIS, and hit send. Just go ahead and do it right now. Just do it. All the cool girls are doing it, okay? Do it. All right? Just do it. Done. Perfect. Now you've got the link. You can register right now if you're quick. If not, pay attention. Do it after service. But you need to be there. It is going to be a powerful night, I'm telling you. The women's brunch last month heard so many amazing stories of the power of the presence of God that was in the room. And you take that and multiply it by 10, that's what she is, all right? And you get some soaps and some hats and some clothes out of it as well, right? I love how Chris, right, you don't know what to say during a women's announcement, right? So Chris was just like, yeah, the soap. My wife got me the soaps. I got the soaps too, Chris. I got the soaps. This morning, I want to talk to you guys about your posture. How's your posture? Anybody been to the chiropractor lately? How is your posture? I recently got one of the most thoughtful gifts, the greatest gifts that anybody's ever given me for my birthday, for my wife. She gave me a gift card to the Texas Clinic of Chiropractic, right? Now, this is the only chiropractic clinic within a 100-mile radius that does the Gonstead method of chiropractics. And it's changed my life, right? It got me thinking about posture. Posture, because the reason my wife got me this is because she's heard me complaining about pain. I played football all my life. In 9th grade, I fractured a pars bone in my L5 vertebrae. I had to get one of those little moldy, like, plastic things that you wrap around. So here I was, freshman and sophomore year, underneath my football uniform, I had this plastic thing that I had to strap on, right? And it came across my waist right here, and then it went down. It had, like, down around my butt cheeks right there. And so when I bent over in my football, I had like this little plastic plate sticking out, right? It was awkward. It was weird. But ever since then, I've had issues, back pain. And then as I hit 40, things progressed rapidly. So my wife heard me talking about this numbness in my knee right here, and down in my feet and in my hands. And so she thought, you know what? She heard me talking about this. She got this. And so I went, chiropractor, they take x-rays, and then they look specifically at what's going on. And before they did the x-rays and before anything, I told them, here's my pain. Here's where I'm having pain. My feet, my knee, the extremities of my fingers. You know what he told me? He said, you got a problem with your L5. I don't know what it is. We'll find out on the x-ray. And there's something wrong with your neck that's causing the issues in your hands. And sure enough, they took the x-rays, looked at my alignment, and because things were out of alignment, I was experiencing pain. And the only way to get the pain to go away is through a process of treating the specific areas that need to come into alignment. So my question to you this morning is, how's your posture? Are you experiencing pain in your life? Because if you're experiencing pain in your life, it's because you're out of alignment in some areas. And we don't come to church to get happy, clappy. Yes, we come to worship. Yes, the presence of God is good. And there are moments where we step in and God just breathes his breath on us. And it's amazing. We get all tingly and the hair stands up on the back of our necks. And that's the Holy Spirit and that's the power of God working in your life. But there are moments where God brings us into alignment. He says, I'm the good shepherd. I lead you and I guide you, but I got a staff. And sometimes, you know, shepherds back in the day when they were leading the sheep, they carried a staff with them. Not only to protect, but sometimes if a sheep kept wandering off and kept wandering off and kept wandering off, it would take the staff and break its leg. To bring it into alignment, he would pick it up and carry it. Sometimes God wants to bring you into alignment. Sometimes he's got to break you down so he can raise you up. This morning just might be that moment for you. But let me ask you a question before I get too serious and too deep and too preachy. You have anybody in your life that no matter what the situation, no matter what goes on, no matter how obvious it is, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It's always someone else. It's always them. It's always that. It's always this. This happened and that's happened. And that's why it's not me. Not me. It's like kids. You know, like your kids, right? It's not my fault. Who broke the TV? Not me. You have anybody in your life? Some of you are being quiet because they might be sitting next to you. Have you ever wondered why? Why we have the propensity to always put the blame elsewhere? Why do our kids always come up with stories to put the blame on their siblings? Why? It's because of our posture. See, we either live from a posture of poverty and pain, or we live from a posture of power and purpose. See, when I went to the chiropractor, he showed me, here are the areas of your back that need aligning. Because you had this fracture in your L5, see what happened? My L5 is down here in my lower back. It slid forward. They call it a spondula. And because it slid forward, the nerve endings that come through the back of my vertebrae are being pressed, which is causing me to lose feeling because every vertebrae, did you know, you probably know, has nerve endings that go out to every area of your body. The L5 also has to do with the kidneys. He told me, you probably have kidney stones. I was like, yep, lots of them. Come into alignment, your posture, not just physically, but spiritually. See, I'm convinced that the only way to live, if you call yourself a follower of Jesus Christ, if you are not just about singing it out, but living it out. Because we can come up here and we can sing lots of amazing words, but his word says that sometimes your lips can praise me, but your hearts can be far from me. And if we're praising him, but our life is out of alignment and we're doing nothing to bring it to correction, then we can end up placing blame when we should be looking in the mirror, saying, God, search me and know me. See if there be any way in me that needs correcting. I'm convinced that the only way to live is in a posture of not poverty. A posture of poverty is what the enemy tries to get you to do. He tries to get you to look at them and look what they have. And if I only had what they had and only had this and only that, man, if I just had that opportunity, this opportunity, because that will get you comparing, and then you will think that you don't have enough. But his word says that if you will seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all these things will be added unto you. You don't have a posture of poverty. You have more than enough. If you're a follower of Jesus, you have everything that you need. And if you don't have it, it's because you don't need it. And the enemy will try and get you to point the finger in every other direction to get you out of alignment. It's the ways that the enemy uses to get you off of purpose, lacking in power. Another way is blame, when we start pointing at other people, events, this situation in my life. Yes, things happen to us. Things happen to us, but someone who lives through a posture of purpose says it doesn't matter what happens to us. I just want to know what God wants to do through us. It doesn't matter what's happened to me, as long as I understand that my purpose on the planet is to allow God to use me, to do things through me. See, when we point at our pain, when we begin to point at the things in our life, the painful experiences of our life, when we point at the abuse that it wasn't right. Things that happened to you in your life, they weren't right. God didn't do them to you, but he sure as heck will use them to bring glory and honor, to heal you, to set you free. And the only people clapping are the ones that have actually trusted God in that process. The rest of you are like, you don't know what happened to me. You don't know what I've lost. You don't know what was done to me. You're right, I don't, but God does. And I can guarantee you, I've heard testimony after testimony, life change after life change, story after story of people who have stepped into purpose and put their foot on the throat of pain and said, you don't hold me. You don't own me. See, the enemy is an accuser. The Bible says that he is an accuser of the believers. Have you heard that? He is an accuser of the brethren. And the reason why he accuses is because he wants us to be like little kids when he brings his accusations. He wants us to believe them, to ponder them, and to eventually go, you know what? No, it's their fault. It was that fault. It's not me. It's that. It's this. He wants us pointing at everything else except God. I don't know why I've experienced this. I don't know why I'm going through this. I don't know what's in the valley. I don't know what's beyond it. But I know that you're good and you will see it through to completion. I know that you've pulled us out of Egypt. We sang that song. You've pulled us out of Egypt, and some of you are like, I don't even know what y'all talking about, pulled us out. I ain't even been to Egypt. Right? And when we cross that Jordan, you're like, oh my God, God is going to give me skills where I can cross up Jordan? No. What the song is saying is that no matter the bondage that you've been in, no matter what you've been a slave to, God has brought you out. And it's a process of aligning your life to his word and learning how to live every day, knowing that he has purpose for your life regardless of the pain that you've experienced. See, Acts chapter 28, there is a story. It's a story of Paul, and I love Paul because in my own life, I've been learning, not yet, I've been learning, take it down, I want people reading ahead. I've been learning from Paul in the area of taking personal accountability. Because regardless of how great you think you are, everybody in your life does not think you're that great. Oftentimes we overestimate our greatness and we underestimate the reality that the people see who know us the best. And Paul gives us a great lesson here in not placing blame and allowing our pain to create purpose in our life. And in Acts, Paul, post encounter with Jesus, post killing Christians, post I saw the light, he now is in prison for preaching the gospel. Not only is he in prison, but now he's being moved. And they place him on the ships, and he's got this long journey with a bunch of other prisoners, and he's under watch of the Romans. And so they get on this ship, and they take off. They're heading east. It's a long journey, and they're having a hard time because the wind and the waves, and it's difficult. And Paul in Acts chapter 27, he tells them in the middle, he's like, hey, yo, we probably shouldn't sail. I know a little bit about this, and it's going to be bad. If we try and go, we're not going to make it. You trying to kill us all, right? He's speaking. He's a prisoner, and he's speaking up. He's like, I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't put us on that boat. We're all going to die. And eventually, what Paul says comes to pass because they don't even get halfway to where they're going, and they have to pull up anchor. In this storm, it says, of hurricane force, they call it a nor'easter. That's what the Bible says with that accent as well. Starts battering the ships, and they wind up off the shores of this island called Malta. In Acts chapter 28, verse 1, it says, once safely on shore, we found out that the island was called Malta. The islanders showed us unusual kindness. They built a fire and welcomed us all because it was raining and cold. Look at verse 3. Paul gathered a pile of brushwood, and as he put it on the fire, a viper, driven out by the heat, fastened itself on his hand. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, this man must be a murderer. For though he escaped the sea, the goddess Justice has now not allowed him to live. Think about Paul. Paul is being persecuted and jailed for preaching the gospel. Who told him to preach the gospel? God told him to preach the gospel. Now he finds himself amidst 276 prisoners on a ship. A ship that he told the crew and the captain was not going to make it. Now he winds up on an island, shipwrecked, with all of the prison guard and all the other prisoners. If anybody could have pointed fingers, it was Paul. I told y'all not to sail the ship. Now look at y'all. Had a shipwrecked. I'm on this island because of y'all. Because of you. Your fault. Your fault. Like my son used. Your fault. Now we're sitting around a fire, finally getting warm, getting dry. And I'm just trying to stoke the fire, you know. I'm just trying to start a fire. I'm just trying to be a man. And a viper latches itself onto Paul's hand. Everyone around there is like, whew. Must not be living right. Shipwrecked, and now he got bit. If anybody could point fingers, it was Paul. God, you told me to preach the gospel. God, it's because of you I got locked up. It's because of you I was on the ship. It's because of you I'm on this island. Now I got bit by a snake. Nobody else got bit by a snake except for me. It's an accuser. That's accuser's mentality. The enemy tries to get us to point to God, it's your fault. I'm in this situation because of you. I'm just trying to live my life. I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm just trying to go to church, to the house of the Lord, and just spin my records on a Sunday. It's your fault. It's your fault, God. It's your fault that I'm in this mess. Now everybody's talking about me like I'm some prisoner who deserves justice. Maybe he's just punishing me. God, maybe he's just punishing me. God is punishing me. Let me just tell you something for a moment. Let me just give you a Pastor Brandon tip for life. God does not punish you. God doesn't punish you. But I'm a sinner. I mean, I just messed up. I said, sin has punished you. You punish you. When you step out of alignment, right? When you're living in alignment, it says his grace is sufficient. It's like living under an umbrella in a rainstorm. And God's umbrella is so big and so wide that we have to actually make a conscious decision to step outside of his covering. And then we step outside of his covering because we're not living in alignment to his word. And then we want to point the finger at God. And he's like, I ain't punishing you. I love you. I love you. Just come back in alignment. But no, God, it's your fault. This happened to me and that happened to me. And here I am now. Now I got bit by a snake and it's your fault, God. And we want to place the blame and we want to point fingers and we want to make fists and we want to punch things. Have you ever punched a wall? Ladies? Oh, wow. Some aggressive ladies up in here. Pointing fingers and waving fists is like punching things that cannot punch back. It's only going to damage your knuckles. It's only going to hurt you. God doesn't punish you. You punish you. God loves you. He wants the best for you. But the enemy attacks like that because he knows that when we start getting upset and clenching our fists and pointing our fingers, that we are in no way, shape, or form prepared to open our hands to receive what God is trying to speak to us and to use our hands to do what God is actually calling us to do. It's a tactic of the enemy. God is not punishing you. He loves you. The enemy attacks us in the way of our purpose, but he also attacks us in the way of our personality. He attacks us in the way of our character. And when we start looking around us instead of looking up, we start listening to the opinions of others. And God's voice that was once so loud in our lives has now become a distant whisper. Why? Because we have allowed the voices of others to define who we are. We've gotten off track and out of alignment. And Paul gives us the example because long before they were ever shipwrecked, you go back to Acts chapter 27, when everybody's freaking out and they're on the boat and the storm is raging in the midst of chaos. Paul says this, Acts chapter 27, verse 23, he says to the crew, he says, last night an angel of the God whom I belong to and whom I serve stood beside me. And he said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar. And God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. So keep your courage, men, for I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. Paul's life was in alignment to his purpose. He didn't need anybody else to define him. He didn't care about the opinion of others because he knew, my God said, I'm going to make it to Rome. I got to stand before Caesar. And so one way or another, everybody on this boat, we're getting somewhere. God said, I'm with you, and in the lives of all who sail with you, they're going to be okay. Have faith. Stand in courage. Do you have that kind of faith to stay in alignment in the midst of chaos, in the midst of the storm, to boldly proclaim to the people around you that God's got it? It don't look like he's got it. It's all right because God told me. God told me that he works all things together for my good, and he's going to be faithful to see it to completion. And that he's got a plan for me and a purpose for me, not to harm me, but to give me a hope in a future. So it doesn't matter if the boat's going to wreck. It doesn't matter what island I end up on. It doesn't matter who bites me, what bites me. I've got a purpose. And there's power when you understand your purpose. There's power when you understand your purpose. See, when you live from a posture of purpose, you become immune to the opinion of others. You stop caring. No matter what they say. You don't even go looking for validation outside of the God that we stand here and sing. We stand in here and we sing. Father, you're for me. I belong to Jesus. But then we walk outside there. And we look around and go, why aren't you for me? Why aren't you guys for me? Why aren't you talking? I know I got bit, but I'm not a murderer. I don't need justice. Why aren't you for me? Why aren't you with me? Who cares? Who cares? If you're in alignment, you have purpose. You've got purpose, and there's power in that purpose. And God can take the pain that you've experienced. He can take all the snake bites, and he can turn them around, and he can do things that set not just you free, but set the people around you free. It says, in verse 4, it says, when the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, this man must be a murderer, for though he escaped the sea, the God of justice has not allowed him to live. But Paul shook off the snake, threw it in the fire, and he suffered no ill effects. It was a viper. Vipers are venomous, correct? Any snake experts in here? Sorry, my son Judah's back in kids' church. All vipers are venomous. It says that he suffered no ill effects. The people expected him to swell up or suddenly fall dead. But after waiting a long time, seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said he was a god. Now, it's at this point that Paul could get really, really big-headed. And he could allow the enemy to puff him up. And the enemy goes from now not accusing to now pride. Yeah, started on the bottom. Now look where I'm at. Y'all thought I was a murderer. Look, I shook that snake off, and now y'all think I'm a god. Here we go. I'm going to use this for your glory, God. Now everybody thinks I'm going to bring glory and honor to your name. Shut up. That's what you need to tell the enemy. Shut up. I'm not a murderer, and I'm not a god. I'm in alignment. And when I'm in alignment, I know that I've got purpose. And even though I've been bit and I got some scars, I didn't die, but everybody knows that I got bit. I'm not gonna wallow in the pain. I'm not gonna point fingers at God. Oh God, why is man? And I'm not gonna stand over here like, yeah, look at me. I'm simply gonna take one day at a time, put one foot in front of the other, keep glorifying God. God, how do you want to use this opportunity to bring purpose and power to painful situations in my life, but the life of the people around me? Because a life that's truly free is a life that's not about me. We get so hung up on, God, just take care of me, just take care of me. And God says, if you will quit worrying about you and just focus on people, focus on what you're on the planet to do. He said, therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. He said, go, live your life, make disciples, face what's in front of you head on, smack it in the face, tell the snake to get in the fire. See, if Paul was busy blaming those responsible for shipwrecking him on the island, he would have completely missed what God wanted to do through him on that island. If he was busy just blaming inanimate objects and inanimate situations that have no real effect on what's going on, if he was blaming other people, how many know that God is sovereign over other people's bad decisions in your life? How many know that God is sovereign over your mess ups, your biggest mistakes? He's sovereign. He's not scared. He's not intimidated. The song said he don't flinch. It's not like he don't have a plan. Listen, his plan for all creation in sending Jesus, right? How grand of a plan. The sacrifice of the Lamb to conquer all sin and all death for all eternity. That plan, so grand and so unique, is just as grand and unique as the plan he has for your life, April. It's just as grand and unique as your life, Anthony. The God of the universe. He's not intimidated by the sin of the world and the chaos that has wreaked havoc in your life if you will just step into alignment. He'll give you purpose and peace in that purpose and power over every situation. See, placing blame gives power to the situation. Placing blame on others, it's your fault. Your fault we're shipwrecked, right? If Paul placed blame on the guard that didn't listen to him, it's your fault I'm on the island. If he placed blame, he gave power to it. Then the only way to get off the island is in their power. When you place blame, you give power to them, to the situation, to whatever you're pointing at. When you put the blame on it, guess what? It doesn't have to be their fault. It doesn't have to be your fault. It can be no one's fault. God is still sovereign. God will still move. God will still work. Quit worrying about his God. He's going to take care of you. I can tell you. I can tell you, and many others can tell you, which is why it's important to get in a social group, because you need to get around some people who can tell you, I've been through hell and back. You don't even smell like it. You don't even smell like fire. How you been to hell? You don't even smell like fire. You look good. It's because the fire has refined me. The fire refines. And what rises up is God's true purpose and power in your life. I've been through some things. We've been through some things as a family. Starting a church ain't easy. Keeping a church ain't easy. Leading a church that sees lasting life change in people's life, that stays true to its mission and identity of authenticity. And it ain't easy. It's a fight. It's a fight to maintain a life of integrity, to make the right decision when no one's looking, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's a fight, but guess what? The gates of hell don't stand a chance when you live in alignment. When you live in alignment. Instead of altar call today, I've got a chiropractor here. Y'all just come down here. We're going to adjust All of you right here. Man, I should have did that. I should have asked my chiropractor, man. It's a Christian place, man. They were jamming some Lecrae the other day when I rolled up in there. Yeah. See, we all have pain we can point to. We've all got pain in our lives. We've all got experiences, events. We've all got people in our lives that we can point at and say, it's their fault I'm feeling this way. It's their fault this happened to me. It's that, it's this, it's my situation, it's my background, it's what I didn't have growing up, it's what I need currently. We all have things that we can point at. Let me ask you a question. Why did the snake bite Paul? Because he was there. God didn't cause him to bite him. The prisoners around, they didn't put the snake in the woodpile. Paul was just living life, doing what he was supposed to be doing. He was there. He was just there. Some of you woke up this morning and there was a viper sleeping in your, I'm just kidding. Joking. Outside your door. Some of you got in your car and you found that a viper has made its way into your radio. You were just there, and all of a sudden, you find latched to your hand a viper. Oh, God, why? I don't even like snakes. Why, God? Why? Why? Here's what we need to learn from Paul is that instead of grabbing the snake, right? Because it said that it had latched. Can you imagine? I ain't never been bit by a snake. Let me just prophesy, I never will. But I can imagine if a snake is dangling from my hand, my instinct would be to grab it. Right? Because if I shake it off, it can just come right back at me. See, when the snake bites, the enemy wants you to grab and hold on to it. Oh, look at my pain. Look at it. You should look at it. You see that pain? You see that viper? It's so painful. And we hold on to it. 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 And God is saying, throw that joker in the fire and let it be consumed. Quit talking about it. Quit bringing it up like it's a badge of honor. It's not. Put it in the fire. Be done with it. Let it be consumed. See, after the fact, Paul shook it off, right? He shook it off, but there was still a choice that he had to make. After the fact, he determined that he was going to let it go. He wasn't going to point. He was going to let it go and allow God to use the same hand that was bitten by the snake. The same hand where bitterness was injected, where venom was injected, the same hand where blame was injected, the same hand he was going to allow God to use it. After the fact, right? Because we all talk about before, man, whatever, God, I will serve you, I will love you, I will go, I will do. If you just do for me, God, I will do for you. And then we get the blessing, we forget about God. We get the raise, and if I had $1 for every time somebody said, man, if God would just bless me, man, I would give towards that kid's place over there. God, if God would just bless me. If God would just give me a man, woman, if he would just give me somebody to love, then I could really serve God with all my heart. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. Because if your heart is not full of him to begin with, any man that comes and wiggles his way in ain't the right man or woman for your life anyways. And you're going to find that out in 2 or 3 years later when you're getting served papers. Because as for you and your house, he didn't want to serve or she didn't want to serve the Lord. And you either got to make a choice to compromise, or you got to say adios. But the bottom line is that we always say, oh God, if you, then I will. Paul made a determination after the fact. After the fact, I've been bitten by a viper, but I'm going to let God use it. Acts chapter 28, there was an estate nearby that belonged to Publius. What a cool name. Chris, that's good. You having a son? Publius. I like that. He was the chief official of the island. He welcomed us to his home and showed us generous hospitality for 3 days. This is Paul talking. His father was sick in bed, suffering from fever and dysentery. Paul went in to see him, and after he prayed, he placed his hands on him and healed him. When this had happened, the rest of the sick on the island were what? Cured. It's the difference between being a godlike opportunist and a worldly opportunist. See, a worldly opportunist says, if you like me, if you talk nice about me, if you have something that I need or you have influence, then I will be nice to you and I will welcome you and I will hang out with you and I will go out of my way for you. But a godlike opportunist says that in every situation, my job is to be godlike. And when he rolled up into that house, there was Publius's father who was lying in a bed. And if Paul was still hanging on to that snake, he was still hanging on to that pain. It's your fault. You bit me. You bit me, and now my hand's no good. I can't even lay hands on this guy and pray for him because I can't open my hand because I got a snake in my hand. And I'm just, let go of the snake. He determined after the fact that he was going to let go and let God use him. And he showed up in that house and he said, this is an opportunity for God to use me regardless of my pain. And I'm not going to place blame and I'm not going to cry and moan and gripe about where I'm at and where I'm sitting and what's happened to me and what's going on. I'm simply going to be used by God. God used me. And so he shows up in this house and it says that before laying hands on the man, he prayed. He prayed. He prayed. I'm sure he prayed something like this. God, in my weakness, you are made strong. God, it's not about what I'm going through and what I'm experiencing right now. This man needs healing. He wasn't over in a corner like, I can't be used. They're calling me a murderer. I got a hand that's no good. This happened to me, that happened to me. If that hadn't happened, then I'd be prepared to do this. No, you're prepared right now. Bit or not bit. In season or out of season. God has prepared you for such a time as this to bring glory and honor to his name. He's just looking for some godlike opportunists who will walk into any situation and say, who needs some healing? My God sent an angel who stood there and he told me, I'm with you, I'm for you, you're gonna make it to the other side. Don't get distracted along the way because there's so many things in between that I want to do through you. See, the reality is that when God is working through you, you feel like you're pouring out, but you're actually being filled up. You feel like I can't go on, God. I don't have what it takes. All the while you're getting stronger. All the while God is shaping you and molding you and making you into who he's called you to be. See, the greatest power is found in the places that the world never cares to look. The greatest power, and the band can come now, is found in the places that the world never cares to look. The world would walk into that situation. So they went to have dinner at Publius' house. You love that name, Publius. You're going to go to sleep. You're going to dream about Publius. says that he invited them, right? He invited them to go have dinner. He didn't invite anybody else. He invited Paul. Why did he invite Paul? Paul got bit by a snake, and he suffered no ill effect. So in my mind, Publius is going, hey, bring me the man who got bit but didn't get bitter. Bring me the man who got bit but got better. Bring me the man who got bit but he still operates in boldness. Bring me that man. Bring that man. But see, if Paul is walking into that house going, well, they think I'm a god. I'm going to go get some dinner. This is the chief of the island. He's going to bring out the best, the red carpet. It's all about me. Then he walks into that place with a worldly opportunist mindset saying, what can I get out of this? All the while the man's dad is dying in a back room. God, how do you want to use these hands? See, the world would never care to even look at the father in the back room. See, the greatest power is found in weakness. The greatest power is found in your pain. I know that's counterintuitive, but that's the way the kingdom works. The greatest power in your life will be found through some of the most painful situations that you'll ever have to walk through. But while they might be painful, they will produce in you exactly what you need to live a life full of power, to live a life full of power. See, the entire island got healed because of Publius. Right? It says Paul went in to see him after he prayed. Right? Why did he have to pray? Why did he have to pray? I'll tell you in a minute. The entire island got healed. It says after you prayed, place hands on, healed him. When this happened, the rest of the sick on the island came and were the rest of the sick on the island came and were cured. But see, if Paul had held on to the snake, if Paul had walked in with a worldly mindset saying, it's about me, what can I get out of this? If Paul had missed Publius in the back room, then the entire island doesn't experience freedom. The entire island, all the sick on the island don't get cured. And Paul completely misses what he was put on the island to do. The entire island got healed because of Publius, but Paul was only there because he determined that there was purpose in his pain. See, whatever you're experiencing currently, whatever you have experienced, God will use it. Whatever pain in your life, whatever situations that you've walked through, God will use it. Somebody needs to hear it. Somebody in the back over there, you need to hear it. God will use it. He'll use it. If you let him, if you stay in alignment, if you don't get bitter, if you just let go. See, you have to go from a posture of pain to a posture of power and purpose. How do we do that? 2 Corinthians chapter 4, look at this. This is Paul writing to the church at Corinth. He says, we now have this light shining in our hearts, but we ourselves are like fragile jars of clay containing this great treasure. This makes it clear that our great power is from God, not ourselves. We have what? This power in us. On the inside of this fragile body, we have this power. We have such a great power. And Paul understood that in the midst of chaos, we have this power. And in the midst of a messy situation, I've got this power. And in the midst of a situation that I didn't ask for and I didn't want, I still have this power. But it says when he went in, it said, before he laid hands, he prayed. Because before God can use your pain, he's got to make sure that the bitterness and the blame is no longer in your body. that you've dealt with it and you've said, it's in the fire, God. I'm not blaming this. I'm not bitter about it. I serve a God who's better, who's greater, and that great glory and that great power is in me. And he's entrusted me, this vessel, to be a carrier of that to Publius and eventually to the entire island. And I don't know what that looks like for you. But I'm asking you this morning to stop pointing at your situation and waving fists at things that can't fight back, and just open your hands and say, God, what are you trying to show me? What do you want to do with these hands, God? How do you want to use the snake bites of my life to bring glory and honor, to set me free, but to set the people around me free? That when I walk into a room and I walk into a situation, I don't miss the man in the back room who's dying. But I have a boldness and a faith to put my hands. This is a question that I want to leave you with this morning. It's a question you need to ask God. And right now, I just want you to ask God. I want you to say, God, what do you want to do through the places that I've been hurt? God, what do you want to do through those places in my life that I've been hurt? I can feel it. I know some of you right now, you're just closing your hands. You're like, nope, they hurt me. That hurt too bad. I didn't ask for that. That wasn't right. It wasn't right. And it did hurt. But your God is greater. Our God is bigger. And he's simply asking you to do like Paul did. To do like Paul. It says, but Paul shook the snake off of his hand into the fire and suffered no ill effects. He shook the snake off. He shook the situation off. He shook the person off into the fire. He said, it's done. It's consumed. I don't want a part of it. I don't want a piece of it no more. I might wear the scar, but the scar reminds me of what God is going to do through me. And so this morning, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I'm imploring you to let it go. There's some things this morning that we need to let go. There's some hurt and there's some pain that we've been holding on to. That we've been holding against someone. That we've been holding against a situation or an event or an experience, and we've been holding on to it, and we've been wearing it like a badge of honor, and God is saying it's time to let it go so that I can use those hands